Hi, I'm Brian, and this is a quick tip that'll impress the ladies. Let's begin. We've got a 1999 Honda Civic, and the complaint with this one is that the lights are pulsing. You know, when driving at night, it's just not getting enough power. I brought it in, I was checking the alternator, and the alternator was putting out 14.4 volts while running at idle with the headlights on, the blower motor going high, like all this load on it. You know, it's cranking out all kinds of volts and amps, but the problem is corrosion at the positive terminal. And what's happening is, because there's such corrosion at the positive terminal, the alternator is not able to pump juice back into the battery. The battery is like a holding reservoir of power to get the engine going again. It's part of your starting system. So I figured either it's a shorted cell or it's an alternator. I'm wrong on both counts. It's something more common than that. This is such a common problem, this corrosion, that I have a special box that I keep battery terminals and basically everything that you'd need to fix a thing. I just call it battery ends. I keep it in the truck, and I rescue all kinds of people with this little kit. So if a car goes to start and it just goes like lots of clicks, sounds like a machine gun or something, you know, a lot softer of course, then it's probably this. So here's how we fix this. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the negative terminal, and the reason why is that all I want to do is take this one off and fix it, so I don't even need to take off the negative. But here's the deal: if I have this on the positive and I touch this and it's touching something that's on the body for ground, it's going to arc and it can short things. So what I do is I go ahead, somebody's already did the negative terminal, replaced that I mean. So I'm going to take the negative one off, and then I can touch a positive with anything because it's just going to be open circuit. And this one's stripped, so it's a pain to mess with, so I just yank it off the top. Just a little twist action, and off it comes. Now, I can get in here with the impact. I can touch this and it's not going to hurt anything. It's good to go. So this factory one is so rusted and corroded, we're just going to discard it. But we got to get it off before that can happen. So we're just going to twist it back and forth, pull it off, blow it, turn it, clean it up, and get the cutter. So I take the cutters. This one has an extra little accessory thing on the side. We're going to zip that off too. So you've got 1, 2, 3 different cables going in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to craft a new one, and this is a little freestyling battery terminal thing that I do. I'm going to put this on the positive, and then I'm going to put this on 1 or 2 of the cables, and then this one on the other one, and then I'm going to bolt these in there. And the reason why I do that is that there's less copper exposed. You can tape them up. It's further away from the battery, and it doesn't wick the acid up. In the summertime, when it's hot outside, your battery sweats through these caps. They're little breather caps. They got a hole here and a hole here to release pressure so that they don't explode, because anything hot expands. This is no exception. You get the same thing. So what happens is that acid just kind of hangs around the battery and ultimately corrodes. Now this battery is pretty clean. It's not too bad. But probably the battery they had before this was. So we're going to have to get this off of there. Sometimes you can salvage these, and sometimes it's just not worth your time. These are nice. They keep things pretty clean, but they also keep things hidden so that you don't ever get the corrosion cleaned off in time. You get stranded. So we're going to clip it off. These aren't necessarily the most ideal thing, but this is what I keep in the kit for cutting the copper wire. Now as you go to cut this off, you're going to have an aha experience here. When you look at the cable here, I'm going to get you in real close. You look at the cable, you can see a little bit of white, but then the other thing I want to draw your attention to is that you also have a bulge here. So when I go to cut this cable and, you know, strip the jacket back, you look inside of there, there's still white, there's still corrosion. That's still not going to be able to conduct very well. Electricity really likes to run on the surface of copper, so if you have fine braided stuff, it works a lot better and you get more surface area and you can handle higher amps. So you can see the white is all the way back here on the wire, and then it's clean copper. So we want to start nice clean copper because this stuff is like ants. You know, once you have a little foothold, once you get a little queen laying eggs or something, it's just tough to get rid of it. And the same thing here, when you look in here, you can see that there's some more white corrosion. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to lob that off. See, this one's black. This wire actually isn't that great, but we have a lot of length, so I'm going to take this jacket off. I'm going to cut that off. I'll be sweeping the floor later. I can go back pretty far on this one, so I'm going to take maybe another couple inches off and see if I can get past that black nasty stuff. Starting to see some cleaner, nicer copper. What this wire does is it feeds a lot of your accessories. It goes into this relay box. So this goes for the pump motor, the ABS, the 7.5 inch, it says motor check. And also pump motor relay, so a bunch of ABS stuff. And the other thing that they were complaining about is that the brakes were pulsing and doing weird things. So it could be that they're getting some funky signals or some funky stuff from this. Look at that. That's what you want to work with. That's what this thing had to work with when it was new. And that's where we want to be. So you got one more wire to do. And that wire is the one that goes straight down to the starter. When we look on the back side, we can see we've got some of that same bulge effect going on there. And we have a bunch of white corrosion in there. So I can see the bulge stops here and then tapers, and we got a lot of room to work with, so I'm going to just go ahead and cut it back here a little bit. I'm going to get rid of that. So much for a quick tip. This is turning into a repair video, isn't it? That's alright, this is really good information. I cannot tell you how many people could have rescued themselves that I've gone and towed or gone and done this service with this little toolbox and saved them. You know, I'm trying to provide a service, trying to help people out. You know, I've got bills to pay, got, you know, a roof to keep over and mouths to feed and the whole bit, the whole cliche. But so here we go. So we got all this nice clean copper. This is a fat sucker, and then these are about, you know, together about the same as that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take those little eyelets that you saw earlier, those solderless connectors, and put the little one in first. Wrap these up, and I'm going to get the copper to cut off at the front one. You can see that there's a little division there. Get these set small. I'm going to set the copper in there first, and then crush the other one on the housing, on the wire jacket. This really causes it to hang on there properly. Now you'll see I've got some vice grips kicking around here. These are awesome for crimping things down. They seem to get leverage, you know, by this little cam action. So go ahead and crush this onto the coppers like that. Go back over the top of it. Just kind of curl it down factory style. Tighten this up a little bit. Go around too. Alright, how do you like me now? Still want to come out? That does not want to go anywhere. That is tight. Alright, I'll get these out of there. So I'll run over it with some electrical tape before it's all said and done. But we're going to go back over and hold on to the jacket of the wire as well. It's kind of like a plan B defense against this thing coming apart. Just great. We're going to take our electrical tape. We'll wrap that up because, like I say, remember when I was doing this thing and I was saying that's why we disconnect the negative? You want to protect this in such a way that things aren't accidentally or incidentally making contact with this and going to ground. That's tools, jumper cables, like any of that kind of stuff. You don't want any accidental contact. So I would tape it up. Huzzah! Alright, so we got the heavy gauge one that's going to the starter. Let's see if I can just cut right to the vice grips on this one. I got a cracked thumb. My hands are so stinking dry. This winter is killer. I had such a warm day today too. It's just weird. My skin just really dried up. I wanted to put a Band-Aid on. My skin was so dry that the oils weren't present and the Band-Aid just stuck like gangbusters. Alright, so I got that together to where they're overlapping. And I put a crush to it sideways. There is just no air in there whatsoever. It is just tight. We'll go back over one more time this way. Vice grips, I don't know. They are just so handy. Love them. I'll put a link in the description. I'll find a good deal on Amazon and put the link in there. They're so handy. You can hold open a hood with them. You can crimp battery terminals. I mean, they're just handy as can be. Alright, that is solid. That is not going anywhere. Build that up so it's got kind of a chafe barrier to it. Alright, so I'm going to unscrew this one just a little bit, open that up. The positive terminal is a big one. These are not the same side. This one's a little bit smaller. So these are ambidextrous. They can go positive or negative, right or left. So I get my hammer pliers, make them up into a hammer. Just kind of stretch that down on there the rest of the way. You got to be gentle with the lead of these things or they snap off. They're really not super high quality. But as I said, the owner's not picky on this one. They're looking for results in terms of performance, not in aesthetics or anything under the hood. I could show you the bird poop on the outside of the hood and then you'd be convinced. Okay, this plate that's here, you can either get rid of it, flip it upside down, leave it where it is. It doesn't really matter. It's just not that critical. If you put it upside down, then the little dings, you know, fill in the channel underneath, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to put this one, I'm going to put a Z-bend in it, a bolt in it, and send it down like that. I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm just going to, you know, it's upside down. I don't care. I think it looks great. It's kind of sexy like that. That's what we're going to do. I got an 11 millimeters all set up, ready to go. 7/16, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to snug that right down. You can take the copper and just put it directly into these things, but I find that this has a better chance of resisting corrosion. You can also put felt washers and paste and goo or, you know, red junk all over it, and that'll protect it as well. Now remember that thing that we cut off earlier that half of you were like, no, not the factory corrosion thing. I mean, this is going to reintroduce all kinds of crud and yuck. We don't need that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm going to put the negative terminal back on here. We're going to tighten that down with our end wrench. That is somehow evading me. There it is. And of course that's rusted solid. So we're ultimately just going to do a little whackety schmackety job on it and get it to just, these are also not straight up and down. They're a little bit like this, so the more you force it down, the more that it cinches on and tightens up. So I've pushed that on. It is solid. It is not going anywhere. It's kind of a fun little thing to cheat there. So, because I took away the other cover of protection from moisture and humidity and everything, I'll add this. Which one's red, which one's black, positive, negative, I can't tell. You can always tell this is negative because you can see it locally goes to ground just right there. There should be another ground that goes to the motor or something from there. Whoever replaced it with that battery cable neglected to do so, so that might be another issue that's causing a problem with this thing not getting enough amperage. Amperage is like the flow, like how many gallons per minute in water. Voltage is pressure. So anyway, isn't that great? that is our quick tip that wound up not being quite so quick. You didn't want to see into my nose, I know. I'll spare you. But you can just be a rescue hero. I mean, in terms of fixing cars, getting people home that are stranded. This thing just about got towed. It was that close. If I come out there with the trailer to tow it, you know, might as well just tow it back, because I mean the gas is going to be burned one way or the other. It's a matter of loading it up. So thanks for watching my videos. I do a new video every Sunday morning, as well as I often do a video on Wednesday just because I can. So this will probably be one of those Wednesday videos. Usually do a big fancy one on Sunday morning, something long and that you can just put on, let it play while you're working on something, you know, a good half-hour, 45-minute video, and then I'll do a quick one sometime during the week, sometimes two. So thanks for watching. Click subscribe if you want to see more videos Sunday mornings and on Wednesdays, and sometimes other times in between. I'm tired and apparently my arm's getting heavy, so cheers. Love ya.